Hi guys, and welcome to another episode. We're here at the Bone Palace. This is kind of Palawa Joko's main capital area. Now, there isn't actually a capital city in the Desolation. You'll know, like, Vabi has the Kodash Bazaar, the Sunspears Sanctuary in Corner, Kamadan over in Istan, but the Desolation doesn't really have one, which is quite cool, I think. It kind of highlights how kind of dead this whole area is. But this area, this outpost is pretty much what you'd call that. It's got, like, all of the services and stuff that you've come to expect from it, and there's lots of quests and stuff, but let's go straight ahead and continue the main plot. Palawa doesn't actually have a quest for us. He says he's impressed. Yes, we've heard that many times. Churro says Palawa Joko's tongue is sharper than his sword. This I cannot deny. Right, let's read the outpost description. The Bone Palace. The very name strikes terror in the hearts of all Elonians. From this dark, foreboding edifice, Palawa Joko struck out across the desolation to conquer Elona. It is said that the souls of the dead enslaved by Palawa Joko still writhe within the walls, screaming for release. Ooh, okay. I think this guy might have the next primary quest. Let's speak to him. Ah, yes. So, the great Palawa Joko returns. I can't say everyone will be happy to see him back, but matters had gotten out of hand with Varish's troops garrisoned here. Those demons enjoyed devouring souls, and with an undead army about, well, you get the idea. Here, this is from our coffers. We hope you will accept it. Alright, so yeah, as he just said, the last quest we actually saw, the last thing we actually did, Varish had stationed loads of troops here. We're getting quite close to where Varish is actually now. She's just a little bit further north. By the end of this episode, hopefully we will have found her. So, let's push on. Let's find her. So, to finish this business, you will need firepower like you have never wielded before. The force you just defeated is nothing compared to what now rises in the Alkali Pan. To reach Varish, you must face the Horde of Darkness, the very Marganites who fought the gods when Abaddon stormed the gates of heaven. Do not despair, the great worms wield great power. Travel north to the Shattered Ravines, where you will find elder siege worms. Kill them and allow your great worms to devour their carcasses, imbuing them with the carnal knowledge of how to use siege attacks. This is your only chance against the Horde. If you fail, the Horde of Darkness will spill forth across the world like an eternal shadow, and forever the eternal darkness shall reign. You living folk might want to see to that. Right, so as you guys know, the Genudo aren't the only worms interior. God battling demons and fire-spitting worms, huh? Maybe later. First I should go have a nice lay down. No, yeah, so the Genudo aren't the only worms in this world. A lot of the worms are just mindless beasts that want to kill us. And here in the Desolation you find some of the biggest, baddest worms. So we're actually going to be seeing sort of worms fighting worms a little bit as we go through. The main plot, as I said, here in the Desolation isn't too long. And the Desolation is a huge place with these really cool side quests. Like, you guys remember the Scepter of Ore from Prophecies? You learn a lot about that here and all kinds of stuff. But we probably won't be seeing much of it as far as we go through. But the Shattered Ravines are up here. Are we ready to leave? I think we are. Let's do it. And yeah, these Horde of Darkness guys, these were actually the original Marganites that fought against the other gods when Abaddon was sort of in the big war and he got threw down all those years ago. Pretty cool. There's a ghost here, a ghostly priest. Marganites, the followers of Abaddon, dark magicians tainted by the same madness that infects Varish. Yes, I know of these things. I once fought of them as you do now. I now bestow you the mark of Dwayne's blessing on those willing to take up my cause. The cause of light. Stop the dark fate about to befall this land. The same fate that took me. So I guess he's a ghostly Sunspear, actually. Anyway, let's go through to the worm spore. Okay, so I feel like I should probably mention what's going on with the Crystal Sea, the Crystal Desert and the Desolation, because I've mentioned it a few times now that what used to be, where we are now, used to be an ocean, it used to be a sea. And as I said, the main storyline here in the Desolation isn't that long, so we should probably get this out of the way with and explain it vaguely. So the thing is, it's a really kind of intricate story, and there's a lot of holes in it kind of thing, so what I'm about to tell you is kind of slightly conjecture, but mostly agreed upon, I would say. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story right now either, because kind of you get one last piece of the puzzle at the end. You know how every god has like an inscription that you can read near their statues? Near the end of the game you actually get Abaddon's inscription. You can read it, and it's kind of like it tells you a big part of the story. So I won't explain that bit because that will come when it comes. But for now, just know this, right? Pretty much something happened in the year 1 BE, right? Abaddon, as you know, was the god of secrets and of water. Now, it's kind of complicated, but he's called the god of water, but you'll notice that elementalists who use water magic, and any humans in the world, or anything that uses water magic, they don't draw their powers from Abaddon. Obviously, humans draw essentially their power from the gods. So, like, Balthazar is the god of fire, Duena is the goddess of air, and so on. But nobody draws their power from Abaddon. Abaddon is, even though he's called the god of water, they actually draw their power from Grenth, who is the god of death and ice. So really, if you're thinking about water in small amounts, like you see, that's more kind of Grenth's domain, sort of with ice. When they call Abaddon the god of water, they actually mean the oceans and the seas, and, you know, the real depth. One of his specific titles is Lord of the Everlasting Depths, right? And obviously his other title is the God of Secrets. I think they kind of go hand in hand quite nicely, really. Because, like, if you think hundreds of years ago, how mysterious the waters must have been to humans. In fact, today, if you think about it, still today, we know more about the moon than we do about under our own oceans. They're like this really kind of mysterious place. And particularly hundreds of years ago, if you're thinking about how mysterious it is, people used to dream of massive monsters down there and shipwrecks and stuff. So I think they go quite well hand in hand. So just bear in mind, Abaddon is really, he's the god of oceans and depths and stuff. Anyway, back when the gods were living on the world before 1 BE, before they all left in the Exodus, which we don't have no idea what that was all about yet. Back then, they lived in a place called Ara, which was in Ur, and all around this area there was this giant ocean. It was called the Crystal Sea, right? And that ocean went over all of what we're currently in, the Desolation. This was all ocean before, and it also went all over those lands up north as well, all over the Crystal Desert. If you remember in Prophecies, when we were going around and there were all these shipwrecks everywhere, the idea is that these shipwrecks belonged to the people who lived on the oceans as a seafaring culture. Now, these people were a bit like the Luxons, really. They were actually called Marganites, alright? I'm not going to explain much more than that, but they were called Marganites. And back then, they were just humans that liked to live on the sea. That was just their way of life. Not exactly pirates, I wouldn't say. But yeah, pretty much just like the Luxons, really. And they lived out on these seas. Now, in this year, something happened. Something to do with a man called Jadoth. And this is what we'll learn about when we get to Abaddon's inscription. But as a result of whatever it was that happened, this big thing, suddenly all of the gods ended up hating Abaddon, and Abaddon tried to take out the other gods. There was a huge war, and I think Abaddon even took out 2 of the other gods, and everybody was fighting. But eventually the gods won, and they threw him down, and this huge battle, I believe, must have happened over this area where all the Marganites were and stuff. Because where Abaddon fell, where the gods finally beat him and kind of ripped him from this realm and put him into the realm of torment, is just a little bit north of here. It's sort of a place called the Mouth of Torment. And as a result of that this area that we're sort of going up north to now is where the 2 realms are kind of weakest. This is why we're chasing Varesh here. The last place she needs to complete her ritual is the very location where Abaddon fell. And, you know, I said in the other episode with all these claws everywhere that it could just be because Nightfall has now come to Elona. You know, it could also be, widely accepted, could be that it's actually because this is where the realms have been weakest, and these things have been coming up for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We'll actually see some cool stuff at a ruined city called the Ruins of Mora soon enough. But yeah, don't want to get too ahead of myself. Anyway, when Abaddon fell, he was the god of oceans and stuff, as I've said. And in particular, I don't know whether he favoured the Crystal Sea, but because of that, when he fell, this huge sea, this Crystal Sea, was just dried up. It just completely got destroyed and replaced by desert. I don't know whether that happened just because as he fell, the world, he got his powers stripped from him and it all disappeared, or whether the gods were just like, look, this is all your fault, Abaddon. All of this fighting happened over here. This was your sea. This is what you loved. We're going to take it from you. We're going to dry it up. I'm not sure which it is. Maybe you guys can decide. But as a result of him falling and dying, it all dried up at once. And then later on in that year, the gods actually left the planet entirely. So we don't know 100% what's going on just yet. But that's the general story. That is why this is now a desert. It's because Abaddon was kind of the lord of the oceans, and he fell. And when he died, his power was stripped of him. So now it's kind of this horrible desert where the realms are closest together. So yeah, that is also why Varesh is going up there to this place again, the Mouth of Torment. So there you go, guys. Okay, so here we go. These are the Shattered Ravines up here. This is where these other big desert worms are going to be that we need to try and take out. Let's go on through. And what have we got? Oh, see, this is the kind of thing in the Desolation. You get fights instantly. They move you out of a portal. This isn't the only place this happens. It happens at quite a few areas. And you move out and then they instantly make you fight something. It's a little bit cheap, I think. But yeah, you always be ready here in the Desolation. I quite like this explorable area, actually. Because it's kind of, you've got these kind of flat plains, but then there's all these massive trenches as well, with the wastes in the sulfur in them. And actually, those are where we've got to go soon enough. But to get into the trench, you've got to kind of walk across the flat plains and figure out and find your way to one of these worm spores. There's a quest here with a Primeval King Janus. Let's not talk to him. We'll do the quest in the bonus episodes, obviously. Lots of giants. And these giant kind of moving claw things over there. I mean, my god, it's all quite terrifying around here. And the environments I like in Nightfall House, sort of. It's kind of, it's pretty cool. Everything looks nice and stuff. And then you get to Vabby and everything looks really nice. And then you come here and then it's just, everything kind of gets worse and worse and worse as you get further and further through the storyline. Right, so we've got the worms. Let's take out these giants. These nomad giants. I feel a bit bad fighting the giants, actually. Because they're just like one of the few things that can actually survive in this deadly kind of area. And we just go through and take them out. I mean, they've got no agenda. They don't want to destroy the world or anything. Where are we going? Just north a bit. Okay. Alright, no, let's go through here. I mean, I guess the one thing this game is really lacking is kind of areas a little bit like this. I'd prefer it more cramped, a little bit more cramped in, but areas where you really feel like you're in quite a confined area. And where you're in such a big, I mean, this is quite an open area, obviously, but where you're in such a big worm, it kind of gives that impression here. I just went the wrong way, didn't I? Did I? I don't know. No, I don't think I did. I think we've got to come up through here. And yeah, this is just kind of, there's another area in Kaineng Sinter. At the end of my Factions LP, I actually did sort of one of those kind of environmental shots running through there. It's like this little alleyway, and there's all these cloves hanging from it and stuff, and that just looks really cool. In fact, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to in Guild Wars 2, just the fact that you can go indoors, and some places actually feel really homey and sort of closed in. Obviously, with a big online game like this, you have to have a lot of open areas just to accommodate for the fact that there's going to be a lot of people running around. But it's something that I quite miss. I mean, one thing that I really do like about single-player RPGs is just like going into an inn or a small shop or something every now and then, and just, you know, you don't often see that in MMOs. You just see someone stood out on a field with the name Merchant next to him or something, you know. And it looks like possibly at some place. Wow, look at that spider. I love the model of that. Oh, it's got all little hairs on its legs and stuff. Brilliant. The stuff in the Desolation I never usually pay much attention to. I only realised when I was filming that other episode that mandragores actually have different models here in the Desolation. Where your screen is just so full of mess here in the Desolation, where you're fighting with the Januda, you can hardly ever see what in decent detail what the stuff looks like. But it looks like everything's got a visual upgrade, and that's really cool. I'm going to die again. I'm going to die again. I'm good. I'm good. Whale. Whale. Oh. Yeah, we go. 3,000 health. More undead. Yeah, we need to go up through here. Also, there's an outpost near here. Yeah, this is definitely it. Look how foreboding this trench is. Yeah, this takes you straight up to these worms. I don't know whether these worms are kind of meant to be related to Queen Ajundu, or whether they're like the mega boss worms of the native worms that live in the Desolation. I guess they're kind of the mega boss worms of the ones that live in the Desolation more than anything else. Let me wail and get some health. Yeah, I love it when that happens. Right, here we go. I'm pretty sure it's just straight ahead. Yeah, definitely. Into the lair of the worms. To upgrade our own worms. Okay, so, oh, there's a chest here as well. Elder siege worms. How many have we got? 5? 4 of them? Yeah, just 4 of them. Okay. Let's do it. This isn't that hard of a fight. Oh, no, and there's a desert worm as well. There's a desert worm as well. I think. Or is that just them? I can't tell. Oh, no, I think it's just them. Okay, good. Because they look like Genudu, don't they? They do look like Genudu. Anyway, here we go. So, quest updated, Horde of Darkness. We now have a new skill. I want to show you guys it. It's called the Genudu Siege, and it's really cool. I'll say that much. You'll notice kind of we have to fight in melee range constantly here. With the Genudu Siege, it kind of allows you all to fight from a distance as well. You can kind of choose. I like a lot of people don't like the Genudu skill bars. They say they're boring, and a lot of criticisms of underwater combat in Guild Wars 2. People are scared that it might end up like Genudu skills, because obviously our skill bars are going to change when we're underwater, because a lot of the above ground skills just simply won't work. But I actually think this has got quite a lot of variety, and in Guild Wars 2 obviously you've got 10 skills, and obviously you don't need this skill A. All this does is take you out of your Genudu. Obviously that won't happen underwater. And just, I think it'll work really well. Anyway, you might wonder, what the hell am I doing? Why am I not just mapping straight back to the Bone Palace and going to the Alkali Pan? Well, that's because you might see here, there's a small portal. This is kind of, if you go back, it's a quick way to unlock a new outpost. And this is quite a cool outpost. I will definitely be doing a bonus episode. This is where you start learning about the Scepter of War. You get quests about this. And as I've said many times now, the Desolation is very close to the Crystal Desert. The Crystal Desert's just a little bit north. And who can tell me, who remembers what we found in the Crystal Desert? Who was living there? What ancient and forgotten race was there that was serving glint and have pretty much been completely forgotten by time? And we haven't seen them at all. They weren't in factions at all. We saw another race that was kind of like them in faction. Oh, more people. Curator Rurus. And more ghosts, lots more ghosts. If you do not find my guide, you can forget about the money. Look, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, these guys, they think that it's still thousands of years ago or something. Oh, maybe it's not that quest. There's like a guy from Ascalon here who thinks it's thousands of years ago. And he's still talking about like doing research and stuff. Anyway, this place is called the Lair of the Forgotten. It's brilliant here. You meet the Forgotten again. The Forgotten kind of come back into the story. How cool is that? But yeah, like I said, the Desolation, the main quest through the Desolation is pretty short. You miss out on a lot of this stuff. Look how big these claws are. The further north we get, just the bigger and more fucked up things get. But yeah, check it out. Look, the Forgotten are here. Hello. Not going to talk to them though. This is all bonus episode stuff. So let's just go straight back to the Bone Palace. That place is great though. I can't wait to show you guys that. Anyway, so Bone Palace. Let's take out the Horde of Darkness with our new siege skill. Okay guys, I'm going to end that episode there. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was reasonably good at explaining that whole Abaddon thing. I find it really hard to sort of explain things just off of the top of my head. But there you go. And I will see you next time. See you later.